Okay. We're live again.
I heard from the top, and I was thinking it was like from the tippy top. So, hydrate not only your insides but your eyeballs.
And that's your insides. That's your insides.
Yeah, I suppose. Never thought of it.
I mean, it's just going inside? I don't know. That reminds me, my wife told me like 3 times today to schedule an eye appointment, and I didn't do that. So, so for those of you who weren't here, well, everyone was here, you just couldn't hear us. This is illfinity. This is our special guest today to talk about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. He is a streamer and also a musician. He had an album come out almost a year to today, and Razzmatazz is on my work playlist. I think that's all the things that I've covered.
That and not a whole lot of differences between me and Emily. We were pretty much the same.
Oh, right.
Really.
Emily and Finn are the same person. They both think, no, that's not true. Emily thinks that Skyward Sword is the best Zelda game, and then Finn thinks it's A Link to the Past. You missed a whole rant I did about Ocarina of Time. Not doing that again.
We won't go through the mistakes that Emily has made to somehow think that Skyward Sword is the best Zelda game. It's just, she might as well pick, Zelda 2. At that point.
Oh my god. Or one of those, what is it, 3DO games?
That's what I wanted to say, but I couldn't think of what the system was called or that disc.
It was the Gamelot. The Gamelot was the name of the game? Something? I'm never going to touch those with a 10-foot pole.
No.
So, cool. We're going to go through the rigmarole that we've already done once. You know what's funny? Finn apologized that he comes with system errors and all that. What he doesn't know about the Podstation 64 podcast is that every single one, we have some kind of major error. The thing is, this is our biggest one yet where we've had to start the episode completely over. So, when you combine both...
I think so. I wanted to take you to another level. You know?
I learned something, though. I learned the new thing to check. Discord is usually the problem. What a surprise.
Yeah. Go figure.
It is what it is. It be what it do. Cool. We'll just quickly jump back into segment 1 again. I'll talk about my backlog. For those of you who don't know, I am doing a backlog of a lot of games because I have a massive game collection, and I just finished the Mass Effect trilogy. I'll show it quickly right here, that I finished the entire Mass Effect trilogy throughout the month of June. I thoroughly enjoyed them, and Finn, I think you should play them. I think you should.
So what was the other ones on there? Because I saw Mass Effect, and then I know we were going to talk about what you were playing next.
So God of War is in progress. Yeah. So God of War 2018 was a stream game. I think I'm going to take it off stream. I'm learning this about myself. I'm not good with very narrative-driven games on streams. I cannot pay attention to that and chat at the same time. My ADHD will not allow for it. So a lot of these things are probably going to fall off. But other than God of War, I'm also playing Mass Effect Andromeda, so Emily doesn't kill me. I probably will throw in Mega Man on stream because that's easy, and I played those games as a kid, and I adore those games, the Battle Network collections. I think you were there when I was playing Final Fantasy 16. That was the first game on the backlog I finished this year. Was the
I don't think.
No, don't.
But Battle Network seemed like it was good.
Battle Network is a mixture of a tactical RPG and Pokemon. The best way to put it. I played them a lot as a kid on the Game Boy Advance, and then they really released a collection on the PS4, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting that. I think it's on Steam too.
No. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And then I noticed another one on there that it could very well be one of my next games. That's Tales of Berseria.
Yes. All right. So I have a story for this one. When Allison and I were starting dating, and I had a much smaller backlog then, but I was going through the backlog, and I got about halfway through Tales of Berseria, and she, a person who makes fun of me for playing weeb games, her words, not mine, I love my wife, was invested in watching me go through this and was like asking questions. Like, it was a great time. But then I got a job and I got to move away from Florida. Papa bless. It's a terrible place. She just came in and called us weebs. Florida being a terrible place. I got a job back in my home and I moved here.
It is America's wet sock.
It really is. I'll give Florida this. It's better humidity than South Louisiana. I'm dying and I need help.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ocean humidity, way more bearable than swamp humidity by a long shot. I want to melt. So, we got about halfway through, then we moved here, and then just between moving and unpacking, and then I had to travel my first week for my new job at the time. I don't work there anymore, crazy enough. And all that, like, we stopped playing completely. And I have forgotten everything that's happened. And
I have this sort of issue too with JRPGs, really any story games, but especially JRPGs.
Yes.
Once you take, like, if you get to around that month break, even a few weeks, but if you haven't touched it for a month, I feel like I have to start over at that point.
Yeah. If a new Kingdom Hearts game comes out, I have to play through them all again just to remember no, I'm just kidding. That one's not going to, click no matter what. It's too confusing.
Yeah, that one you just enjoy the characters. You're not gonna make any sense of any of that.
I don't even know if you can fully enjoy the characters. I replay Kingdom Hearts 1 every year, and there is just some things that come out of their mouths that I'm like, that was a line written for the video game.
Well, in Kingdom Hearts 1, I mean, how many of the games afterwards are prequels to that?
There's
like day 352 and 3/4.
So that one is a sequel. However, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep is a prequel, and the two mobile games are 100 years in the past prequels. And you can't play them anymore.
Oh, well, perfect then. That's fine. We just ignore that part. There's only so much backstory I need.
And they put that important lore into Kingdom Hearts 3. And don't forget the music game that came out after Kingdom Hearts 3 that is like 30 hours long and only has 15 minutes of relevant information, but it's important information that you need for the plot. So,
is there any chance that comes, like within the first hour or so?
No, it's all at the end.
No.
Yeah. Before that, it's just a cute little rhythm game. But I know Tetsuya Nomura, and he's a dick.
Well, that's all right. I'm sure 4 is going to answer all the questions that you have left.
He, crazy enough, he said this is probably the last one, and I guarantee you, even if it is, nothing's going to get answered.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I love and adore 7 Remake and Rebirth, and the parts of it that are frustrating, I gotta say, it feels a little bit of that Nomura energy sprinkled in there.
I feel like this. I think Nomura thinks he is Hideo Kojima, and he's not. He thinks he's this visionary.
Exactly what it is.
Now, granted, and I watched this on a video today, and I'm like, yeah, this is true. Hideo Kojima is a great storyteller, only so he can be the Quentin Tarantino of video games, so he can take pictures with hot people and then get photos of their feet. And I'm like, yeah.
No.
I mean, game recognized game, but...
And Nomura does some great things, right?
Yeah.
Has some great designs, but when it comes to the overly convoluted kind of stories that he tries to weave in and out, it just, yeah.
He's responsible for, I think, like, he was supposed to be responsible for 15, and then he got kicked off 15. And so he's like, fine, I'll take this character I designed for 15 and put him in Kingdom Hearts 3 as a secret boss hidden behind DLC, and he's going to be a main plot point to 4. That's how salty this man is.
No.
So we'll see what happens. We only have to wait another 20 years before Kingdom Hearts 4 releases, but it is fine. It is what it is.
You got that early concept trailer too. What was that? A year or two ago now? I'm surprised there hasn't been any news since then.
Brother, that was in 2021.
It was that many years now?
Yeah. Look, I know 2020 was last year, but 2021 was 4 years ago. So, it's bananas.
We're in 2025 now. You're sure?
Yeah. Technically, after today, tomorrow we'll be closer to 2050 than we are to 2000. Tomorrow, starting tomorrow.
I didn't need that.
I know I didn't need to hear it today either, but now that I did, you all did as well. My boss told me this, and I'm like, great, thanks. Wonderful.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to the future. Let us quickly jump into some news segments. And there has been a lot that's come over in the past few weeks. We'll start with some internet game drama. And that's my favorite kind of drama. There was an initiative a few years back, and it's still going on in different countries. It's called Stop Killing Games. The way that it was designed, it's just a petition. That's all it is. But the way that the petition is the point of it is like, hey, I bought this game, and it's an online-only game, but I paid money for this. Not DLC, but I paid money for this. And if the developer decides to stop supporting it, you can't get any way to get it supported or have someone reboot a server or anything for it, right? So, like, the whole purpose is like, hey, at least hand the keys over to someone else who is willing to continue to support it, or find a way to keep it online. You don't have to keep, like, giving updates and stuff, but keep it online so I can keep playing it. Famous Twitch streamer, Pirate Software, aka Thor, put out a video 11 months ago, shitting all over it, like, misconstruing it. He's a developer himself, but he just kind of missed the whole point. And so in the US with the signings, no one signed it because back then people saw him as like this very, very smart and thought out guy. It's come in recent years that he's very arrogant and it's his way or the highway. And so people have been putting together, oh, this guy is probably wrong about this.
And coming from the internet side of things, I'm sure people thought, he was looking out for the everyman's best interest and all of that.
Right. And so now that it's all come out and people started looking into it themselves instead of just listening to the internet, man, they're like, oh, he's just wrong and he's an asshole. And so they calling him out and saying, hey, this is where you misconstrued it. At first it started nice. It's like, this is where you misunderstood it. And he's doubling down on what he's saying. And so now once again, and this is not the first time he's done this, he's doubling down and is just saying, no, you're all wrong and stupid. I'm not arrogant, which is the most arrogant thing you can say. That being said, if you need to know anything about Thor, he thinks he's smart because his dad used to work for Blizzard, and he used to work for Blizzard. And that South Park character on World of Warcraft is based off his dad, and he's not smart. He just, he's a little spoiled because of the fame he had back in the day. So
yeah, I could see that.
If you're in the EU, consider signing the Stop Killing Games petition. I think it's a good thing. I think that's the most political piece of news I've ever. You asked about this earlier. That's the most political piece of news I've ever gone into. And yeah,
I would agree too, because there seems to be so much pushback from companies in general. And I know I'm very much generalizing. It's not everybody, but where if they're not going to continue to support a game, they also want to be able to pull the game from the hands of people that have paid money to be able to play this game. And you can argue whether someone's owning it or you're spending money to just lease it, but if you're not going to support it, I don't see why you would have such an issue with people wanting to still keep it out there and have people to be able to enjoy the experience that they paid for.
Right. Did I ever tell you why I went full physical in my collection? I don't do digital anymore unless I have to.
I'm assuming it was because things like that would happen. Games would get pulled from Steam, or you don't technically own the games that you buy on there.
This is the PS3 era. This is how far back this goes. I bought Scott Pilgrim vs. the World on PS3 for $20. I remember the price. Played it a little bit. Went to college. Left my PS3 at home. Went back. My hard drive had corrupted. I don't know how. No worries. Got it repaired. I'm like, oh, that's right. I purchased that game. I want to play it. Went to try to go re-download it. The license had went out and you couldn't get it back. Like, they couldn't have it in the store anymore. It got delisted and I couldn't re-download it. And from that moment forward, I'm like, fuck this, digital bullshit. I'm not in anymore. Like, I paid $20 for this. I lost $20 for something I played like for 3 hours. So there you go.
Yeah, it's nothing I would see happening in our lifetime, but it's crazy to think that if Steam just shut down, closed out, whatever disaster kind of happens, you could potentially just lose like your entire library, what you have on there,
Right.
of what you didn't already have downloaded at that time.
And that's why all of my library is consisted of Humble Bundles, because I paid almost nothing for them.
Yeah, I don't even want to add up how much money I have in Steam games. It would be bad.
Actually, yeah, this wasn't part of this segment, but I'm going to throw this in, and this is for you too, Finn. I know it's the Steam Summer Sale. You don't need anything. Finish your games that you haven't even touched in your Steam library. He's shaking his head no at me.
No, I got what's it called? I got one game here. I want to look it up because it was like I got it for like $4 or $5.
That's
it's a game that I've been wanting to play for a while. Is it called Moonshot or is it called One Shot?
One Shot.
One Shot. It's like it's a puzzle adventure game. You run around as a cool little character, but it looked like it'd have a really interesting story. I think it was made in like 2019 or something like that. Yeah, I've stopped. I've stopped with all the sales because I have to go back to 3 or 4 years ago. I bought every Yakuza game on sale on Steam, and I've only played the first few chapters of Zero still.
And that's it. Nothing else.
Just that series alone, not to mention all the other hundreds of games I have on there that I haven't touched. And physical copies of games that I still have wrapped up that I haven't opened. I'm done with the sales. I have too much.
I need to tell myself that with physical games, because if there's a physical sale at a GameStop or a local game store, I will load up, and then this is why I have the backlog list this year. That's why I had a goal this year. It's like I'm going to start chugging through these, with the exception of some releases like AC Shadows and Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Our next news segment has to do with one of my favorite games, Balatro. The creator of Balatro has announced at the beginning of the year that he's going to release a big free update later this year. But before he did it, he wanted to 100% his own game, because he made it by himself. He went in, he got all the achievements on Steam, which is no easy, like that's thousands of hours. He did it all. Posted, and it's like, I think I now know how to improve this game and major changes I'm gonna make. And I'm like, that is the way you do it. That is incredible. Like,
that's cool.
I love, dude, if you haven't played Balatro, that's one I will say, get it. It's a good little turn your brain off, fun game. I don't know what it is, man. I don't even like poker, and it's not poker. It was never about poker. It's about making big number bigger. It's just addicting.
I do like poker, and I love it. I haven't gotten anywhere close to 100%ing anything, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Balatro. I would have rather saw that win Game of the Year over Astrobot, but I'm not going to take us back to that.
Hold on, are we about to fight? No. Well, to be fair, at the time of the Game Awards, I had not played Balatro yet. Now I understand it. It still wasn't even my second choice. My first choice was always Metaphor, but Astrobot was a close second at that time, because oh my god, Metaphor is such a good fucking game.
I would have been happy with, and not that I'm unhappy, but yeah, Metaphor, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which, you know, that's me being a huge fanboy, but still all the work that went into that and how much there is to experience in that game, I had that there. Astrobot, and Astrobot, wonderful, right? But it feels like it's a collection, it's a compilation of a lot of prior hits, a lot of history thrown into that game, and I guess it still makes it eligible, but I feel like for originality and creativity, some of these other games, especially like a Metaphor, maybe not so much Seven Rebirth, but a Metaphor or Balatro, I might have had ahead of Astrobot. That's all I'm saying.
Listen. I will still die on the Astrobot chain. I get excited every time they announce new levels, and I pull out that little disc. I'm like, we're going back in again, baby. Let's do it. And I get all excited. I love that game, dude.
They did an amazing job with it.
Happy news over for our penultimate news segment. Microsoft just laid off a whole bunch of motherfuckers, unfortunately, which led to the cancellation of the Perfect Dark game that was in development. It was the debut game for a studio that had just started up, along with some rare collection that was coming out. That studio will never release a game ever because they shut down that studio completely and canceled everything.
Was it 9,000 employees? Was it 9,000 or 90,000?
I think it's 9,000.
It's probably not.
No, I don't think it's
90,000 would be insane.
I don't think Microsoft has 90,000. Well, mate.
Yeah, it would have to be. I'm sure it was 9,000. But yeah, there was that one, and thought I heard that there was another game. Maybe Perfect Dark was the. I mean, I know that was the main one.
Microsoft has 225,000 employees globally. Jesus. But yeah, they laid off like 9,000 people. It's insane. Yeah. Like, I can get into my political rants, but I won't. I'm going to bite my tongue and be a happy little boy because I'm going to talk about my favorite game of all time.
That's rough and I think they'd been working on that game for like 7 years, was it?
It was announced it was announced in 2020. Like we got like images and everything in 2020. So they've been working on it for a while even at that point. Like it's been a while. Final last bit of news, and the reason I saved it for last is because it's related to our story that our topic that we're going to immediately jump into. Charlie Cox, the voice of Gustav for Clair Obscur Expedition 33, went on record saying, "I was in the booth for 4 hours. I'm getting too much praise for my role. Give the praise to everybody else." What a Giga Chad that Daredevil is. He knows what he did. That being said,
he does, but it's impressive for him to. I mean, he said he hasn't played the game, not really much of a gamer or anything like that, and to be able to go in there just in one day, let alone one day, a half a day, and get all that down and to evoke all that emotion. Because look, he's not the main character, but he carries Act 1 on his shoulders. You don't get to Act 2 or Act 3 or anywhere else in that game without his performance.
Agreed. 1,000% agree. He did a phenomenal job. Now, I will say this. People are saying when they do the live action film, which got greenlit before the game even came out, they said Charlie Cox has to play him. I'm like, no, it has to be Robert Pattinson and nobody else. That's the only option for Gustav.
Absolutely. I agree. Immediately when I started that game up and saw him, I was like, "Who is this Robert Pattinson looking?" But that's like them doing a Liza P movie. It has to be Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Robert Pattinson. You know what? You can have Charlie Cox do the voice. We'll dub him like they did back in the day. Back like in the black and white. So I guess it would have been a little bit after that. But when they had the look, but they didn't like the voice, dub over him.
Do it. I will see it. I will be so happy. Now, I will say the one caveat. Ben Starr looks nothing like Verso. His voice is too iconic to not at least dub over for Verso. Obviously, Ben Starr has to be Verso no matter what. That is my one.
They could probably do enough with prosthetics.
Yeah.
To get him there a little bit, because I feel like IRL, he has a little bit softer features. So I feel like if anything, it's at least easier to get him to look more like Versa. Whereas if he had the harder, pointier features and then trying to soften him up. So I feel like they could still have him do that if they wanted.
I love how his two main roles are these rough and tough characters in Final Fantasy 16 and in Expedition 33. And then you look at him, he's oh, actually, that's a fun... I don't know if you knew this. For the trailers for Balasher with the clown, he is the clown in those trailers. That is Ben Starr.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So for the BAFTA Awards earlier this year, he dressed up as the Balasher clown for those awards and accepted the award there.
Oh, that's great.
He's a good dude. I missed that.
I didn't... Yeah.
I love that man. Pierce Brosnan...
And obviously, you could tell just really loves what he does. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. He's gotten on people's streams for Date Everything because he's Dorian.
Yeah, that was the other one because I looked some people up before this, and yeah, I saw that Dorian as well.
Yeah, he's incredibly talented. And Pierce Brosnan needs to be Renoir. Yes, that is correct. I agree with that 100%. I can get behind that. I'm gonna
nail that voice.
I'm going to say this now before we get into the main meat and potatoes of this whole conversation. This is a spoiler warning. If you have not finished the game, now's the time to leave, come back. I don't care if you're on YouTube. I don't care if you're on Twitch. I don't care where you are. If you have not finished the game and you plan on finishing the game, go away. I love you being here, but I don't want this experience spoiled for you because we're going to get into all of the granular details of the story and how much of a clusterfuck it really was. And how well written it is. So do yourself a favor, get out of here, get the game yourself. Or if you don't care and you're not going to play it, get out of here and go play it. Don't be that guy. Okay.
But if you have any inkling of wanting to do it, You need to be able to just have this experience
Yeah.
for yourself.
I will say I'm impressed with how well the internet did not spoil it up until like the last month. Like for April and May, nothing. It was radio silent other than how good the game was. I didn't start seeing spoilers until recently. And I'm like, good on you, internet. For once, you did not disappoint me. You made me happy. So
Yeah, I ended up because I streamed the whole game. I did get one spoiler. I was heavy into Act 2, and it was somewhere that I was kind of seeing the story going anyway. It still sucked, but at least it didn't, I didn't have to, because I've known some people that have had like the whole ending kind of just spoiled and ruined for them and all the plot twists. So I'm glad that it was just a little note, but I'll get to that kind of as we move through the story and our thoughts and everything.
yeah. We'll go ahead and go act by act. I think once we go act by act on what happens and our thoughts on it, then we can get into like the special little granular details, the things you don't really think about that they included in. Because there's so many good things that they included in. I can talk about the axons for hours, but I'm not going to do that.
and before we get into even the axe, I just want to say this is even beyond lightning in a bottle. I hope that we can see games like this come together somehow, some way in the future. But I was doing some research on this because knowing I was going to talk to you, I really wanted to look into it behind the scenes, and pretty much everyone in their lead direction and pretty much everyone on the team didn't really have any sort of credentials for the most part. Guillaume Brush, this was all new for him. The art director that they brought in was someone who worked with Cirque du Soleil in production and staging and design and all that. So that's their lead art director. The writer was someone that he met on Reddit that was auditioning for just some voices back in the early stages when it was We Lost, before they did their whole reboot, and them getting to talk and know each other and talk about the story. That's who ends up being the lead writer with no she a brilliant woman and does a lot of writing herself, but hadn't had anything published or anything like that. And the lead for the music, a guy
God.
picks up a guitar at 16, studies music theory and guitar at age 19, and everything else he puts together on his own. He practiced by picking favorite soundtracks for video games and doing his own renditions and trying to like evolve them into his own creations. And it's all these people just passionate.
That's the insane thing is they found him on SoundCloud and he had like no followers or anything on SoundCloud, and they found this man. And it's like, you know how much hope that gives me on Twitch?
Yeah, no, I heard him talking about it. It was even crazier than that. He just happened to find him on a random indie music site. Just some random indie site that they were on. The site's since been taken down at this point, but yeah, just like that.
Insane. I think the only person with experience was the owner of Sandfall, who worked for Ubisoft and got bored and is like, I'm out. He dipped out, which that's all you need. Like the fact he saw this thing in people, like these people who have never done any of this before, these crazy enough 33 people, and is like, yeah, all of you work for me. We're going to put this together. And they created what is now my favorite game of all time. And I will die in that hill.
And I think even with some part-time workers, it rounds up to, I guess it was closer to like 50, but that is still just so small. And that's another thing too. Like any extra art design help they needed, people were doing part-time, so they didn't have to quit their full-time jobs. And just to be able to do all of this with such a small group, a small budget, I hope studios are taking notice of the right things that went on to make this happen and learn from it.
We will be getting more Clair Obscur games in the future because the owner did say Clair Obscur is supposed to be like a Final Fantasy what is the word I'm looking for? Prefix. Instead of like Final Fantasy numbered, we have Clair Obscur Expedition 33. We're gonna have Clair Obscur something else next, which should all tie in, but we'll get into that later. Let's jump into Act 1, where you literally know nothing but what the trailer tells you. Something called the Fracture happened. Paris, France is torn in half. Well, it's called Lumiere in this. It's
Lumiere.
Yeah, yes. Lumiere. Is torn into pieces. The land is all destroyed. And there's this being called the Paintress, who is on her monolith, painting numbers every year down from 100 all the way down to 0. At this point, we just hit 33. When that number is hit, anybody who is that age or older goes to something called the gommage, where they just disappear, essentially die forever, and turn into a bunch of rose petals. The first 10 minutes of the game will already have you in tears.
No.
You start off as Gustav, knowing that this is a day. And this whole day is dedicated to you going to your ex-girlfriend who you separated with and spending her last day with her and falling in love with her again in that moment that she is disappearing forever.
And even the lead up to that, you can tell that there's something that's not quite right, because they make it seem like such a celebration, a festival. So it's not instant where you realize where this is going to go immediately.
Yes.
You could tell like something seems to happen. I was starting to wonder if like she was a part of a team that was going to be leaving, because I didn't know was the Gamage the people that were going on the adventure, or how this was happening. So just the setup and the way they just slowly reel you in at the beginning to that reveal of everyone, losing the color, losing the life, just from crumbles to dust into petals. And the music again.
Disappearing and die. It's very emotional.
I was already in tears. I was already in tears at the beginning.
That alone is the prologue, and it's not very long. There's also a mime somewhere if you can find it. And if you got the platinum trophy like me, you didn't find it, and you had to start all over just to do the intro section again, just to find the damn mime. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I missed that mime too. I missed it.
I did platinum it, but at what cost? So after that, you kind of start to understand what the expeditions are a little bit more. They kind of feed you some information about the expeditions, but the expeditions are a group that get together at the start of every Gommage to start going after the Paintress. And usually they are all of the age that is going to Gommage it next. So everybody who is in that group is age 32, with the exception of one in your group. And that is Mael, who is 16 or 17. She's one of those two. She's very young. But,
I believe 16.
Yeah. She knows that Gustav...
The little Spitfire, or I was going to say the little Spitfire fencer, which I was immediately drawn to because I love fencing in general. So, like, right away, even when we were just dueling against her, I was like, this is going to be my favorite character. I already knew that I was going to love that, and that didn't change.
Spoiler alert, she's the most broken character in the game, too. Which is a theme in and of itself, but we'll get into that later. I'm going to be saying that a lot.
Yeah. And also, what you're about to lead up to, you just have this heartbreaking scene of Gustav losing his love, and then it kicks right into ramping us up with this adventure. You get the speech, you get this uproarious crowd, this impactful, bombastic music. Mm-hmm. You're like, we just lost our love. Let's go. We about to get after that ass because we're not gonna take this laying down. It's like we got some things to do on this island. They're about to catch some hands. I was so pumped to get on that ship.
When you say catch hands, that's quite literal. Let's be real. Because then you're all decimated by a bunch of hands.
Right back. It makes your heart sink. Puts you back up, just brings you right back up, only to drop you right back down again. It was it was a roller coaster. It was an elevator. It wasn't even a roller coaster. It was just up and then drops you right back down again. I was like, God.
Oh, so it's the Tower
this
of
could
Terror.
Be one of those.
It's the Tower of Terror at Disney World.
and that's when I knew for sure. I was like, oh, we're gonna be in for an emotional experience, because the first part already hits you, but the fact that then they double down again. And it's sorry, you can get into that, but with what happens, but it's.
Yeah, like he already said, they hype you up. They're like, all right, we're going on this expedition. It's a little bit down because they say less and less people are signing up, but it's still like, hey, we're going to go do this. We're going to be the group to do this. And so they get on the ship and they get to where they need to go. And then they see this old man, which makes zero sense given all the information that is already given to you that there should be no old men. And he pretty much decimates 90% of the whole thing.
And for any of y'all that know anime tropes or just old men in games and movies in general, you see an old man with a cane and you know it's about to go down. Like as soon as I saw him with the cane, I was like, oh, this can't be good.
Yeah, the first thing he does is he cuts a man's head off.
Yeah. But even before he did, I was like, old man Andy has a cane. Oh, this is bad. This is gonna turn real bad. And yeah, just immediately.
Oh, which
I almost wish I had subtitles off for that moment too, because I saw the lead or the one guy that was talking to him, and when I saw that hyphen, that meant that his whatever he was saying abruptly stopped. I was like, oh. So like the second before it happened, I was like, oh damn,
he dead. That man.
Yeah.
It just is insane too, because it just keeps going down. Like finally, Gustav gets away. He doesn't know if any of his friends are alive, and he just gets into this cave, and it's full of bodies and upon bodies and blood pooling and all these things, and he's just lost hope in that moment. And he sits down and he just draws his gun and he puts it to his head instantly. When he finally, like, the game finally is like, all right, let's chill out a little bit and like give you the little hope you need. So Lune, one of the first characters you meet, finally appears, talks him off the ledge, and it's like, look, this is what we signed up for. When one falls, we continue. It's like the slogan of the game.
No.
So, and from there you go really into Act 1, and you start finding everyone who survived, which is a ragtag team of Mael, who's the fencer, who you've already met before, who's technically, Gustav is also the guardian of, because of
the surrogate big brother fatherly figure.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we learned that relationship. We already found Lune. We find CL,
who we quickly find out is probably the most fun to travel around as. We got to talk about Lune and the floating.
That's the only way
fairy
to travel.
Flying around. Yeah.
Except
I tried to switch every once in a while, but just gliding around so effortlessly, like it's just, come on.
The only time I could not play Lune was when I was doing the gestural challenges, like the only up challenge. Like, I'm like, I can't float. I gotta run. I gotta see my feet on the ground.
Yeah. You need that, like, that tactile sound of like just actually landing on. Yeah.
Though I will say this. This is where Claire Obscure pulls a Tarantino/Kojima. It's only feet. And that's that. Oh, actually, no. The DLC costume, they put shoes on Lune. So I just
oh really?
I got the DLC costume because I wanted to support the small team, and I'm like, I'm just going to use them. And so my friend Julie, who I convinced to play, text me, is like, Blake, why are they just showing? Why is Lune barefoot? Why are her grippers out? And I'm like, they're not. I'm in the DLC costume. They put them away for the DLC. I'm like, great, thanks.
Well, I mean, if you never really have to land on the ground,
what's the point?
Let your feet air out.
Exactly.
Let them be exposed.
She is the only way to travel. It's the best way to travel.
And now she can keep a cooler body temperature because her feet can release that heat as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like what's the character from Metal Gear Solid? It's the same reason. She doesn't have to wear a lot of skin She doesn't have to wear a lot of clothes, right? Is that Metal Gear 3 or? I've only played Metal Gear 2.
Game. I've never played any Metal Gear games.
So I'll tell you this just real quick. So Kojima has a character in one of those that wears next to no clothing, and there is lore behind it where it's like it would suffocate her because of how much she needs to breathe through her skin. Or something. We know what the deal is, but they really tried to. They really tried it with us on that one.
Kojima strikes again. Good to know, Kojima. As Finn already said, Lune is the best to travel with. You also meet CL, who, let's just be real, that's Elle Purnell. I don't care what anybody says. That is the girl from Fallout. And I've seen other things. No, that is Ella Purnell. So we said Mael, Lune. Yeah, that's all you meet in Act 1. You have Gustav and then the 3 girls. And that's all you need.
Yep.
You also meet this race called Gestrels, which I'll go into what they are a little bit later because it kind of ties in. Just know they're like little wooden creatures who love to fight and are very stupid, but they're adorable. But that's their whole reason of living. Like, they admit, like, all they want to do is fight each other all the time.
And you get it. You get a small handful of them that like to do adventuring or being merchants. But yeah.
Well, what are the merchants? What do you have to do to get the merchant's secret loot?
I mean, you still got to fight them.
You got to fight them.
Yep.
I did actually, to get to level 100, I did a lot of gestural fights as my XP. One specific one as my XP sponge. 'Cause I was getting like 2 million XP every fight. I'm like, okay, I can one shot him and be done.
Nice.
So there you go.
Did you ever fight and defeat a head chef,
Oh,
aka head chief? I guess you had to because you played him.
I did. I lost so many times that I learned how to one shot him, so I didn't have to go through that nonsense.
I tried for a while when I was too low a level because little getting into it a bit more. Mael being my favorite and purple being my favorite color. I saw people going around with this fancy purple colors, this purple katana that they were wielding just looked gorgeous. And I found out that you won that if you played the last bit of combat in the tournament.
You didn't do
the arena fights. What's so funny is I picked Mael as my starter for everything. And then that was the one time I'm like, you know what? This is a story beat. I'll let each one of them get around. And so I made the mistake of starting with Mael. It's like, you know what? I'll let each one get a fight in. So then I ended up doing the final fight with Linnea instead of Mael.
Oh, no, you did.
I was crushed. So my favorite character, I didn't get the sweetest weapon.
You can still get that weapon. You just have to fight, what's her face?
Yeah,
what's her
Chef.
name? Is her name?
I like calling her Chef because it's she's the chief, but if you look up above, it said Chef.
Yes. Yeah, I got it the correct way.
If you be chief of the village. Yeah, I tried. I spent a few hours on stream once, but I was only like level 20-something, 30-something, so I wasn't getting anywhere close. And by the time I was high enough level where I could have gone back, I was ready to get through the end. So
I thought you were talking about Secret Boy later on.
Oh no, not that.
No, for Chef, yes, I beat Chef, but also later on when I was not under leveled as hell. You start going through all these different worlds, and you find out the main enemies, they're called Nevrons. But there are some good Nevrons. The ones that are, you'll see some of them just standing there idly, and they'll have a little quest for you, and you'll find some nice Nevrons. But most of them want to kill you. Nothing too crazy about that. Most of the boss fights are Nevrons. 2 more characters you meet in Act 1. You meet the best boy, Eskia, this big, large, flying/swimming man who just wants to be friends with everybody. He's so sweet. He just wants a Expedition 33 band that won't fit on his arm. He puts it on his head. He's a good boy.
I loved that bit too. That was so good.
And then you meet his roommate, Francois, his arch nemesis. This is
grumpy, cranky, belligerent. Yeah.
I will say this. This is where the game did it right. Like, the beginning was so intense and like so action filled and so like just depressing. They knew how to like bring you back up and like throw in some comedic relief and be like, all right, look, it's doom and gloom, but it's not all doom and gloom. There's still some good here. Have a good laugh in here.
They not only did they need to give that to you for how the game started, but for what is around the corner lurking. They really needed to give you some time to breathe and just have that brevity and to find the joy in this world, because if it was all doom and gloom, some people might have had to put it down.
So we're getting to doom and gloom now, because on the way we have to find Eskia stoned so he can swim. He needs Flurry so he can swim, and Flurry is in a cave. And when you get to that cave, there is a giant lamp Nevron that you have to fight, and you defeat him, and it's all happy glory days until our old man friend reappears. Luné and CL have already moved on with Eskia to start swimming, but Mael and Gustav stay at the top to skip a rock real quick. And that is when our old man friend shoots Gustav in the back. And he is dead. The man is actually officially dead. There's a whole scene where you're fighting as him and not doing any damage to this guy who you learn his name is Renoir. Mael is crying and screaming, as she should, behind this barrier. And Gustav is telling her to go, and she just won't, obviously. And we watch our lead boy die. And that is how Act 1 ends, is they get away. A character named Verso comes in and stops Renoir from doing any more damage and gets Mael out of there and the other girls out of there.
For those who come after.
Yeah, for those...
And And just in the nick of time too, because Renoir was good at. He's talking to Mael, and he's saying, "You don't understand, but this is for the best." And he goes to take her down too, to end her.
Yeah.
And Verso's there at the perfect time. Otherwise, we would have been down 2.
And we learned very quickly, Verso's a lot like Renoir. He's an older man. He's over 100 years old at this point.
They both come from the first expedition.
Yep. And we learned that they have some kind of immortality. They can't die. There's nothing they can do about it. We don't learn much past that yet. But we learned that about both of them. And Verso officially becomes your Gustav replacement. I don't know why it never clicked with me. And I see people make the jokes online. I always wondered throughout Act 1, I'm like, why can I see everybody's skills I can unlock for everybody, but I can't see all of Gustav's? There's these little locks on them. And I never put the pieces together until after he dies and he's gone. And I'm like, oh, that's why that clicks. That's what happens. Shit. Thanks. Thanks, game. Mm-hmm. It's very well put together first act that you're like, everything is sunshine and rainbow, like everything's despair to sunshine and rainbows, that there's a chance back to it. Grounds you real quick. It brings you right back down to ground zero. It's when we get into Act 2, we go and we bury Gustav, and we meet our last companion, who is a gestural named Minoko, who has learned how to speak English, and he loves feet.
Half the time I would call him Rafiki. He gave me so much Rafiki vibes from Lion King. I love Minoko.
I didn't even think about that. He really is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Like he's got the staff. He kind of looks like a baboon a bit. Like, yeah.
I mean,
he's kind of the old wise.
Wait, isn't there a scene where Rafiki, maybe it's just like a vision, but doesn't Rafiki like transform into something else to look like something else momentarily? Or am I making that up? Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think that he does.
I could be very wrong.
I don't think he does.
I'm probably just trying to glaze this game up more than I need to, because it's already getting all the glaze and trying to find more connections than I need to that don't exist. Thanks for that.
But a wonderful character. As long as you can get past the fact that he likes to collect feet. It's for a good reason, though. Okay?
It's not for nothing. It's the Tarantino reason why it needs to be there, but it's there. He essentially really is your comic relief character. He is the way for you to laugh in different. Even his voice actor, if you've seen clips of his voice actor, he's just a funny guy. He's just a fun to be around guy. But you kind of already know that something's being hidden when you meet him, because of the way him and Verso interact. You can tell they've known each other for a long time and they're friends, but there's something they're not telling anybody. We learn pretty much from there. We can't get to the. We can't go and fight the Paintress without beating the Axons, because we need to get past the barrier, which will instantly gommage you. Unless you get
and also right before that, I believe they went to Old Lumiere because they had to destroy the heart.
You're right.
They had to destroy the heart, because that's where we get a little bit more information.
Right. We learn. We see Eileen, I think, for the second time, which Eileen is a girl who's like badly burned, can't speak, is completely black and white. Ooh.
Alicia.
I said Eileen. Yeah, Alicia. Yep. Thank you. Man,
I mean, we'll get to Aline. But
yeah. You meet Alicia. She is. It's revealed at that point too that Alicia is the daughter of Renoir, and that Verso is the son of Renoir. Which of course Lune loses her shit for all that being hidden from him, and she just quickly loses trust of him. So we go to destroy the heart. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, and we've seen Alicia a couple times at this point, and there was similarities between her and Mael. So I was already wondering, I was like, are these twins? Are these, are we dealing with like different dimensions or different realities? Or I figured there was a reason that they looked similar. I didn't understand what it was. Even with Renoir, I was drawing connections because I almost thought he looked like an older Gustav. So I was like, well, how is this all playing? How's it all going to end up, right? What's the reveal going to be? And I do got to say, too, I loved Renoir, geez, I'm gonna get that right one of these times. When he walks out of that manor, oh, I was so ready. It had been a long time coming. I was like, come here, old man, it's time to get that ass whooping. Oh my god.
Oh, and it was such a good fight too. It wasn't even like the main fight of it, but it was such a good fight. There's not a point in this game where there's bad music. Just FYI, the music is beautiful throughout.
And so much different music that you get for all the different venues, for all the different, like, so many different, even sub bosses get their own little themes. It's incredible.
Gotta love the gross teeth and the bouncing. Go ahead.
And also to see the change in Maëlle at this point, because early on, obviously she's young at heart. She's looking for adventure. She didn't ever feel like she really belonged in Lumiere. You kind of start to find out. So she felt disconnected from there. So that's part of the reason she decided to go at such a young age, to travel with them, to try and face the Paintress. And so once you lose Gustave, you start to see some of that darkness set in for her. And then you really see that anger boil over when they finally meet Renoir again there. And that all was just so good.
Oh,
but like
man.
you said, then they find out that Versa is in fact Renoir's son. And they're feeling a little betrayed by that.
Yeah, they are.
So.
Because now the heart's been we can't destroy the heart because Renoir has taken it away. Like, there's nothing we can do. And we find out from this one mysterious character where we find Maëlle. We kind of left him out. This mysterious character called the Curator, who has been like with us this whole time, upgrading our gear. We find out pretty much through him because Maëlle can understand him that we need to defeat the Axons and get these items so we're able to break the barrier. Create the weapon to break the barrier. So we go off. Lune, of course, is pissed off and does not trust Verso with a 10-foot pole. Understandably so. And we get to the first Axon, which I did out of order. Which Axon did you do first?
I did the faceless one first.
Yeah, I did the other one first because
they told you to go west. Did you get your west and your east mixed up?
I am not good at listen. When someone tells me to do one thing and say fight this one second, I say fuck that. Let's go. And I fought the harder one first.
How did it go? I mean, obviously you got it done, but
I mean, to be fair, I played on narrative mode, so it could have been way worse.
Okay.
I got through because I played on. If I had not played on narrative mode, I would not have gone through.
I played on normal mode. I didn't play on the hardest mode, but I was doing parry only. I was only ever parrying.
Yes.
So
at that point, I was
dealing with that.
At that point, I had switched to full parry because I didn't realize how busted parrying is. There was
it felt so good. It felt so good when you land those parries.
Listen, there's a gameplay podcast that me and Emily had when Emily actually played some of the game. You can watch that from a few weeks back as well. But this game's gameplay is also peak. But we're here for storytelling, baby. We're here for narrative themes.
That's right.
So the Axons are really like where I think the game really puts pieces together because they hint at it and they say what these Axons are based off of. But when you put the pieces together, it's great. But we can't really go into details on what they're based off of yet until we get to Act 3. Just know the first one you fight is the Faceless. Is that the man who hides truth behind lies. And the other one was, what is her name? Is the dancing lady.
It's the dancer. But
is her name the dancer?
Was she just called the dancer? It might be.
She may have been.
33. I'm guessing it's a friend. No, that's. I was looking at the dance success. I know I'm butchering that, but that was up in the Frozen.
The Frozen Heights area. Frozen Heights.
Yeah, Frozen Heights.
Oh, that was another grind area. That's another level grind area. Let's see. Axon names. Expedition 33. Here we go. I know there's spoilers. You don't have to tell me. Serene.
There it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Visage was the
Faceless. Yeah. So, the Mask. So, the Mask is the one who hides truth behind lies, and then Serene, the dancer, is the one who hides from everything important behind happy times. Just puts everything back and only focuses on the good, and it doesn't really like tackle the important issues that they need to tackle. Both of these have very important themes, and you notice Act 2 is a good point in time for you to get to know your comrades, and you see how they connect to these axons. Because when you fight them both, at the end of the fight, you notice one of your characters in each fight does not get affected by the axon. Against Visage, it's CL, who we learn very early, later on, and this doesn't affect the full story, but we learn that her husband, died, not by the Gamage, but just accidentally got killed. And she tried to kill herself because she found out he was dead and she didn't want to live anymore. She was rescued and found out that she was actually pregnant with his baby, and that baby died whenever she was going out. It's tragic, and from that moment, she didn't have to hide behind a mask. She couldn't hide behind a mask anymore.
And we'll circle back to this when we finally get to the full reveal, because I think she even specifically says that she just woke up back in Lumiere.
Yes.
She didn't specifically say that like someone rescued her. So it was like she was sure she should have drowned, and then somehow she just ended up back there, but she was no longer pregnant, which is just
insane.
On its own so depressing and twisted and
dark.
fucked. And then we, eventually we find out exactly why that happened.
Yeah. And then you have Lune, who doesn't get affected by Serene, because Lune's whole upbringing is no fun ever. Always be depressed, always focus on the mission. That's all your focus is. Yeah. And so she knows during the whole, she's at first entranced by Serene and like the dance and gets distracted, but she knows, hey, I need to focus on what's, she knows she has to focus on what's important in this moment. But she learns a lot about herself. You learn how neglectful her parents were during her upbringing and everything, though, and how their only goal, the only reason they had a child was so that they had someone to help them figure out how to defeat the Paintress.
She started a couple years earlier than everyone else, and it's
depressing as well. Child neglect and abuse is both of them. This whole game is very, very existential and nihilistic, and my God, I learned a lot about myself playing this game. These are the stories that apparently I gravitate towards. But yeah,
so it takes a lot for Lene to trust people. So then when she does, when that trust is broken, you can see how it affects.
Act 2
because after that first lie from Versa, you really spent a lot of that game, or at least a decent part of the rest of that act, with her trying to come back around to Versa, because CL and Mael bounce back fairly quickly. She's the one that it takes a bit more time because of that trust being broken, and then again it ties into her backstory. You understand why it really hit her even harder, and she wasn't able to accept it as quickly.
Which is why she's able to fight off Serene so easily compared to everybody else who just could not fight it off at all.
No.
Once again, more to reveal about them later. But Act 2 is just this whole idea of understanding who your party is, understanding the connections of the world with the axons and everything, and how they connect to the characters that you've gotten to know. And then finally, we move on because we've defeated both the axons, and now we can go and fight the Paintress. The Curator has created the weapon we needed to break the barrier. And if
you figure, it's a weapon perfect for a fencer.
It is a giant sword.
So, would you look at that? Apparently, it's going to go to Mael, and everyone assumed because she was the one that had the connection to the Curator for whatever reason.
That will be revealed.
Drawn to each other.
So we break the barrier. Unless you were me and Finn, probably, and there's more places we haven't gone to yet. We need to explore more and spend 5 more hours not doing the main story. You break the barrier, and then you go up, and it's finally time to face the Paintress. Which is, I won't lie, it's a cool ass boss fight. We hear before and during the boss fight, we hear a lot of dialogue with the Paintress, looking at Verso. Well, actually, no. Before we get to the Paintress, we have to fight Renoir. Sorry, with the best Renoir song out of all of them because of that breakdown right when the fight starts.
He shows up again. You're on your way. You've unlocked the yeah, you're right there, ready to get things done, and he has to show up again to try and get in the way.
This is the most mad we've seen Mael too, because Versa's like, we can find some way to incapacitate him, and Mael's like, no, I want to fucking kill him. I want him to be dead. And she makes sure that, like, she wants to make sure he's dead. And that boss fight is hard, and you finally take Renoir down temporarily. I mean, obviously he can't die, which they've stated before. Like, this version for some reason can't die along with Verso. And then once you defeat him, you move up and you go and fight the Paintress. And the Paintress starts making these, like, jabs at Verso, like, my son, no, you're not my son. And it's like, wait, what is she talking about? And more is revealed as you're fighting, because she keeps making these jests at him. Alicia's also up there as well. And we learn after defeating the Paintress all along that Renoir and Verso and Alicia are essentially painted versions of the Paintress family, who is revealed to be Eileen, to which then, it's kind of bananas. But
yeah, because do we want to? Are we cool with just like laying it out there? Or are we trying to save exactly? Or?
I mean, yeah. This is everyone here knows what's happened in the game.
Yeah, I mean it's wild because you end of Act 2, you think you've done it. You
go back to Lumiere.
Yep, everyone's there to celebrate. Everyone's happy,
except for
then
one.
There's a letter. There was a letter that was left for Versa, and he's reading it, and you're starting to think that something could be a little off. And that's when we get the big bombshell. We've already had how many, but we get another one dropped on us, and we find out that the Paintress is not actually who we think she is. And this whole time we thought that she was the villain, and she is the one that's been there trying to keep everyone in this place safe for as long as she can. So we basically defeated the one thing keeping Renoir from overtaking this entire place.
And when we say Renoir, we mean the real Renoir, who is the curator who has tricked us the entire time.
And now you realize it makes sense because of the familial connection, Renoir being the father. So that's why the curator had such strong ties.
Act 3 opens up, and we're not in the game. We're not in this world anymore. And we're playing as Alicia. And we go through the mansion that we know is the curator's mansion. And we meet a girl.
In the best outfit, by the way. I just got to say, that is this. I don't think I changed outfits after we got that one. I did a lot of dress up, but that Alicia outfit is the shit.
Wait, did you not get the Clea outfits?
That's the fear. The which one?
The Clea outfits? Did you fight Clea?
I don't think so. Oh, you talking about the sister?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I basically ended up seeing that was the thing you could do afterwards, and I'm still thinking about going back there because there's 2 other Axons, and then there's also Clea, the sister that you can face off.
And then the super boss, which we'll talk about.
Which is one of the 2 other Axons, because then you can also face off against the other version of Alicia too.
Yeah. So you are awake. You are Alicia. You find out Clea is your sister, and that this is in the past, apparently, when you're seeing all this. Past of everything we've known. And that's when we learn that this whole world that we've been in this whole time is a painted world created by someone named Verso, who had passed away in a fire recently. And that the mother, Eileen, aka the Paintress, was hiding her sorrow and living in this painting this whole time to escape having to deal with her grief. And Renoir, who is the curator, is trying to get her out so she can deal with her grief. And Mael had accidentally fallen in the painting and for some reason started as an infant. She is Alicia in the real world. She's Mael in this world. And she comes back as an infant. And Clea kind of reveals how everything kind of broke down. There is factions. You have the painters, who is this family that you are, the Lysandre family, you find out. Who are able to paint worlds, and they're able to go into these creations and live throughout them. And then there is an enemy faction. We don't learn much about them. We don't really learn anything about them, but they're called the Riders. And they set fire to the mansion, killing the brother of Clea and Alicia named Verso.
And it's definitely set up in they hint at the fact that the writers somehow were able to manipulate
Alicia, yes.
Alicia into doing this.
I
So
would,
it makes you think. We don't get any specifics, but it makes you think somehow if the painters can paint and they can do magical things tied with the painting, there's some sort of manipulation that writers can probably do with writing out plots or writing out. There's probably some rules of how they're able to manipulate people with writing, but that would be my guess. Some sort of a brain. Go ahead.
Yeah, my money is that the next game will be about the writers.
Yes.
It has to be. Like,
Yeah.
it's the perfect setup.
Absolutely.
Like,
'Cause that's the only thing that they really don't get into, that they just leave open-ended for you.
Now, granted, normally I would get annoyed by those kind of things, but the way the game is set up, it's still a satisfying like conclusion. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, there's more than enough to deal with here. All we needed to know about the writers is that they're another faction. They are the cause for what has caused this family so much turmoil, but we're dealing with the turmoil and the depression and everything that this family's trying to work out.
Yeah.
So we didn't need to dip further into that.
Yeah. We find out that all the friends that we have made in this painting, Esquier, Lune, Ciel, the Verso in this painting, the Renoir that we fought, and all these people, they're not real. They're painted creatures. The Gestrals, which now I can go into what they really are. They're paintbrushes. They are paintbrushes. And all the clues kind of like are put together. This whole world doesn't exist. And we also learn that time does not move in the same speed in the painting as it does in real life, because Mael lives 16 years in the painting, and it's only been, a day? Less than that? And then you have Eileen, who they said has been in there for at least 67 years. But it's not been there. It's been a week in real life.
Is that how long it was? I couldn't remember how long the time was outside of it.
I think it was like 5 days to a week that Renoir and Eileen were in there. Yeah, it's a very short period of time.
But obviously, it's very unhealthy. It's very bad to have your mind in for that long.
Correct.
It's almost like an Inception level of where you go too deep, you stay in for too long, you kind of lose yourself, and it can be very, very bad.
And your face starts to warp. They show that with the curator and with the paintress. Like, their faces are screwed up, except for when Renoir comes back to normal for some reason. I don't know. It is a massive lore dump. And then you can just kind of start putting the pieces together. Like the axons, all the Nevrons and axons are painted by the paintress, and also some were painted by Clea. But if you look at the axons, the axons are painted by the curator. They're painted by Renoir. So the visage, the one who hides behind truth with lies, is based off his son Verso. Clearly based off Verso, who throughout the game has that theme. Serene is based off Clea, his daughter, who is just too serious all the time, and is fighting this war by herself. The other two axons, we don't really, break them down too much and understand them as much, but we can see the connections. One is Eileen and one is Alicia, because those are the other connections. But the two main ones we can see, the two characters who aren't in this painting technically, are the ones that we have to fight to get through. So then we just flash back into the painting. Mael comes back. She's no longer Gommage. Like the whole town is Gommage, with the exception of Verso. Mael actually comes back, and she learns from that moment that who she is. She learns who she really is, and she can bring back her friends. So she brings back Esquier. Monoko's still there. I think Esquier and Monoko are both still there. It's only Lune and Ciel who are gone forever.
Yeah, and because at the end of Act 2, Mael was also wiped out. So Versa at first was the only one that was there. She was able to bring herself back because Renoir is trying to get them out of the painting. Or her.
Technically,
yeah, so she was able to come back, and now she is tied into her real memories with her painting version. So Mael and Alicia have come together now. She has both sets of memories, but she is in fact Alicia from the real world.
Exactly. And we bring back our friends, and Lune again is pissed because somebody lied again. Verso lied again because he knew what was really going. He knew what would happen when we defeated the Paintress. He knew exactly how it was all going to go down. Act 3.
And this whole time, I was just gonna say, in this whole time, we're thinking that Verso, he's talking to Renoir about this needs to end, and obviously we're just assuming that they need to stop keeping people from succeeding, from getting rid of the Paintress so they can go about their lives. And yeah, this whole time it's been, he was trying to do this so Mael could get out of the painting, or Alicia, and that would, in fact, just end everyone's existence that's in the painting, because they still have their own consciousness, their own thoughts and all that. As we'll see when we get to talk to them again, you know, it's explained to them what's going on, and they're kind of having those moments of, you know, how surreal that would be to be told that and try to process that. It's crazy.
Act 3 is the biggest lore dump, yet the shortest act out of all of them. Well, Act 3 can either be an hour and a half, or it can be 10 hours. I took the 10-hour route because I did every little piece of extra quest there was. But technically, when you learn all that lore and everything, you bring everybody back. The only thing to do is to go fight the real Renoir to bring everything back to normal. The main themes really just start sticking out throughout this piece. We've already talked about the axons. I think we've covered everything. There's other things that you learn. There's a painted version of Clea who's in charge of getting the Nevrons all together. Clea painted herself in there. We learned that Clea created Francois and was friends with Francois, and Francois hasn't seen Clea in over 100 years and misses her friend. SKA creates a cute little rock with Clea on top, and it's adorable. Yeah. And he starts to cry after you fight him. It's a good scene. And then there's Super Boss Simon. Do you know anything about Simon, or do you want me to hold my tongue?
Oh, no, you can go ahead, because I looked into it. It's foggy at this point, but I know that he was he created as Clea's lover from real life? Go ahead.
Yeah.
You tell us what it is.
So Simon was a part of the Expedition Zero, the original expedition. Right. When Clea was in the painting, this is before all the shit went down, I guess, though that was Clea's lover. Clea fell in love with this thing who didn't exist, and he survived, and he's living beneath what's called Renoir's drafts, where Renoir keeps all of his creations for, you know, making sure everything in the painting goes away. And we learn that she still has some kind of control over him, even though she's not in the painting at all. That boss fight is cuckoo bananas.
Yeah, it seems absolutely insane. And I wanted to do the side quest stuff, but I always have this issue when I get towards the ends of these games where I know I'm that close to the end, I want to know what happens. So I kind of beelined it at that point.
There is the Axon you have to fight that's based off. You don't have to fight the Axon based off Alicia, but you go and see the Axon based off Alicia. I'll let you go experience that. That's a whole thing if you haven't done that already. Yeah. I think that's a good chapter.
I've seen it, yeah.
The Simon boss fight will go down in infamy of the boss that I will never fight correctly, and I will always cheese to beat because no, it's not worth. I
feel like you have to cheese a lot of that stuff. That's the other reason I didn't do it, because I know at that point you have to break the game to where you're doing like millions of points of damage.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to sit down and figure out all the Pictos I needed to do that. So I was like, you know what? I'll do that off stream. I'm doing the rest of the main story.
I beat the game at that point. I knew all the story and I did everything else. I'm like, look, I'm just going to look up how to do it, how to one-shot them and do it just so I get this last damn trophy that I need. Get the little bit of lore that I need. Before we get into the final boss and the end there, though, I want to talk about the expedition journals you pick up that talks about previous expeditions, but there's one in particular. The best one of them all, Giga Chad's Expedition 60, who went. Please tell me you know about this. You do. Yeah.
It's. I think it's the last one I found because it's the one you find back in Lumiere, right?
Yes, it is the last one that exists. You are a bunch. It is a bunch of men and women who go on this expedition, butt-ass, butterball naked.
Yeah, because every expedition has their own specific thing that they're trying to do, or specific technology.
Yeah.
You had ones that had submarines, ones that were trying to set up all the grapple hooks and how you would move through. Everyone has something different. Like he said, Expedition 60, their whole thing was just being Giga Chads and Giga Chadettes,
Ripped.
whatever you want to call it. It just yeah. So they were just the physical peak specimens. They could freaking swim for miles. Yeah,
This is the peak human performance, and if you don't like it, they broke the barrier without a special weapon, without the heart or anything. The thing is, they got to the Paintress and didn't fight the Paintress because they learned about it. And the scarier thing is what lives beneath the monolith, which is Renoir's dress.
And it's so wild to think because they were the ones that were the closest to getting that information back. There was one expeditioner from 60 left that was on their way. They were swimming to try and get back to Lumiere and just didn't quite make it. So when you go back to Lumiere for the final fight, when everything's all busted up and crazy, you find that there because it is now, finally washed ashore to Lumiere. And that's when you learn that there was one expedition that almost got the information back, which would have been a wild thing to process and to think of what the people would have done at that point. These people that have been created and how they would have reacted and dealt with that.
They would have made it. They would have made it. I'll go ban that person later.
Wow.
I think that was. It was both a comic relief.
It was so cool.
It was so great. I think
I gotta say real quick
since
since I can't remember which one it was. I think my favorite though has to be the ones that met Esquier. Esquier didn't tell them that he had eternal life, so they asked him about these mushrooms that they could eat. And he's like, blast it all, you should have told us that you were a turtle before you said we could eat these. And he's like, oh, and now I'm passing out because they had all died from eating the mushrooms.
Yeah.
That was so silly.
That's another thing. We also learned that Esquier is the one who saved Ciel from drowning, which is big. That's how Esquier is like, hello, my old friend. And Ciel's like, who the fuck are you? And it all...
I forgot.
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
it all clicks. So then we go, and it's time to fight Renoir to fight for everybody. And it's a pretty cool boss fight. The Paintress comes back in to help you fight Renoir and brings the Axons in. It's very intense and very bananas. But then it's
epic. The music, it's
a very good final boss fight, and then you defeat Renoir. But it's not over because Renoir's like, we need to go. We need to go home. We need to deal with this. And Mael's like, no, I want to stay. And I think Renoir at that moment, he puts on his father cap and it clicks. And he goes, I'll leave the light on for you. Because he essentially knows if she stays, she's never coming out.
Because he's already seen what it's done to his wife.
Eileen.
And how she's withered away and is probably not going to be around for much longer if she didn't get out. And it's a father that's trying to bring his family back, to try and allow them to heal, to be able to let go of Versa. And so then again they flipped the script on you. You thought Renoir is this motherfucker that you hated since the beginning. This guy that you couldn't stand, you couldn't wait. You find out that he's actually not the bad guy.
He's not.
They keep switching it on you.
It is a back and forth nonstop. And then a giant portal opens, and we go in, and we see a little boy who's there painting. And it's the same little boy that we see throughout the entire game, and this is where it all comes together. And in that moment, we learn that little boy who's constantly painting this canvas that you're currently in is the last piece of Verso's soul that is just ready to move on but can't, and it is exhausted, and why Verso is ready for this to all end. He follows Mael in this portal, even though he shouldn't be able to. And then you have to make a choice for your ending. Do you take the Mael ending, where Verso continues to paint forever, and this world stays alive, and Mael can stay in there for her entire life, and everybody comes back? Or do you fight for Verso and let this all end? Let him move on, let the family grieve. Both endings are very hard to watch. Neither one of them felt great. There is a clear good ending, a clear correct ending.
Yes.
But it still sucks because when you do Mael's ending, we'll do that one first. Mael's ending, you defeat Verso. He's crying, I don't want to live this life. Please let me go. I don't want to live this life, which is
begging.
God, it is hard to watch. And it cuts to Lumiere being put back together. Gustav is alive again with Sophie, his girlfriend. All these people are back alive, and we're in this theater and we're watching Verso up there playing piano, looking
And
destroyed.
and some people, because even people in chat that were watching me play it, I picked Mile first. I even said as I was doing it, I was like, I know this is the wrong choice. It's like, I hope I get to go back and pick both. It's like, because Mile's been my favorite. I've stuck with her this whole time, so I want to see where this goes. But I'm telling y'all, this is going to be the bad ending. So you've seen everyone come back, and then when it cuts to Versa, you go full on monochrome. It goes straight to black and white. And so you already know that it's probably not going to be good. And then go ahead.
And then you go to you look at Mael, and her face is starting to do what her mother and father's did. It's getting deteriorating.
And if you watch even before that, because obviously Verso sits down, he sits down at the painting, and then you get two quick shots. It pans over to CL.
Yes.
And if you watch, she's smiling because her husband's there, everything. But you notice right before it switches off of her, you could see the sadness in her face. Like she's happy for a moment, but then you get to see how she's really feeling. It's like a quick half-second look where you can see the facial expression turn, and then something similar happens with Lene too, where it gives you a shot of Lene, and you can tell that she doesn't feel exactly right about all of this. And then it goes back to Verso, and this is the part that I really love, is you can tell that even there he's trying to resist. Yeah, he tries to not paint. He tries to not play the piano. He doesn't want to do it, and that's the reason that Mael's face is like her mother's, because anytime their face was like that is when they were actually enacting their willpower and their painting abilities as paintresses. So at that point, she was literally first forcing Versa to play the piano, even though she knew that he didn't want to. And it switched to.
She became the villain. She very much became the villain. And it's so, dude, there are people online defending her ending, saying that is the end. I'm like, no.
It's gut-wrenching because you know that she's never going to make it out of there.
No.
She's going to spend the rest of her life in there, or as long as she has, until she completely loses herself and her body in the real world just dies, just withers away. And it's so sad.
Now, the reason the Verso ending is so hard, because that one it's pretty cut and dry why it's so bad. Like that she's never going to get out, and then Versa's soul's never going to move on. But the Verso ending, it's not as cut and dry until you really think about it. Her sister, Mael / Alicia's sister, Clea, hates her and treats her like shit in that shot we see them together. The mother does nothing but blame her for Verso's death. The father also blames her for Verso's death until the very end when he kind of flips and like, we need to get through this. There's a lot of family disdain, it feels, towards her because of this incident. Plus, in the real world, she can't speak. She has no voice.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and that's what's even more twisted about it, because they're putting all this blame on her shoulders, and she has no voice. She has terrible burn damage. She can't. One of her eyes is burned out. She can't see out of. She's lost an eye. And that's what makes it so tough. Is her for a character. It makes sense why she'd want to stay there, because she could be the perfect version of herself, how she was. Mm-hmm. Going to the real world, she's gonna be dealing with all that pain, not being able to speak. It's not all sunshine and rainbows when she comes out of that painting.
Yeah.
But you have to deal with what happened and move on. And if she stays in that painting, she's refusing to accept what happened and moving forward with her life.
And also, it finally lets Verso's soul move on past this and move on to the next life. And so we pan, we see the family finally a week and a half later burying Verso and doing the funeral. And the family is Eileen and Renoir are together. They're holding each other. Clea's kind of off away from everybody, and Mael is just kind of by herself, holding an Esquier plushie, and just
and we definitely see Clea in the moments we've been able to see her. Obviously, she's been very cold, very judgmental, and put a lot of blame on Mael. But we also, I like to think of it from her perspective. Still don't agree with how she treated her.
Yeah.
But she's dealing with so much stress because there's clearly some sort of war or something crazy that's going on between the writers and the painters and these factions. And she is the only one that's out there dealing with it, because mother and father are in the painting, fighting an eternal struggle between each other. And then the sister's also in there fucking about. And Clea's out here left to fend for the family. Yeah. So I can understand her letting out some of that aggression So if by chance she or Mael, I don't know if they're gonna go just a completely different group or if they come back in the next one. I'd like to see maybe where that relationship could go potentially.
I mean, I think the next one we'll focus specifically on the writers, and then soon it might break up. I might be completely wrong. I don't know how they're going to put this together.
I could see it going either way. I could see there being either just some sort of time jump where it moves on and this family isn't involved at all. I could see a time skip with Mael and Clea maybe quite a bit older. Maybe the parents have passed away at this point where they're trying to get what they can done. I think about the potential for traveling into other paintings, maybe even seeing characters from this world. But I like keeping this kind of tightly knit like this. I would be happy with them just going on a completely different direction while explaining what's going on with the writers and the painters.
Yeah, I think I think we can go a direction of the writers where instead of going into these drawn stories, these painted images, we can jump into these stories that are written. Though I don't know how it would work yet, but I believe in the people at Sandfall to put it together.
Oh, I'm sure that they've already had ideas brewing. That was something that the lead writer had even talked about, where there were more things that they were looking at adding and revising, and new ideas that they were bringing in. And it's like at one point they had to say we have to leave this where it is for now because we got to start doing the motion cap and all that. Yeah. So yeah, I think it got to the point where I think they have plenty of ideas on what they want to do next with the writers and all of that. So which would be really interesting to see.
I can't stress this enough. It takes a lot for me to cry in like any type of media. Like I don't know why. Not because I don't feel like I'm not a sensitive person, but like just in media in general, I don't really cry. This made me cry multiple times. This brought out so many emotions. It's not even like I can relate in any way. I've never obviously experienced anything to this degree. But this game really brought out all these emotions in me, and it's still, people don't believe me, and I will say this to this day. This is the first game to beat Kingdom Hearts 1 as my favorite game of all time since 2002. It's been 23 years. This game is incredible, and I will die by it. I think the story is a 10 out of 10. No notes, to be honest. I think they did perfect when it came to the storytelling.
Yeah, I have to say it probably is. If not my favorite game of all time, it's definitely one of them. Like it's right there on a top 3 list. It's tough because I think about Cuphead for completely different reasons. Final Fantasy VI is always going to be one of my favorites of all time. But yeah, this is right there with them. With one of the greatest.
I will put storytelling up there with Final Fantasy VI's storytelling, because I think even Final Fantasy VI has some of the greatest storytelling in all of gaming of all time. Because that story is, oh my god, beautiful.
Just how it weaves in all the characters, but with this one, with the plot twists, how they just keep pulling the rug out from under you, and just there's so much emotion. Because Final Fantasy VI, there's some surprises or whatever, but it's pretty standard with where you see the story going. The twists and turns and how clever and creative they were with this. It's phenomenal writing and storytelling. It's absolutely brilliant. Award shows, they go how they go. It's whatever. I think that this has to sweep this year.
It does. It will be Game of the Year.
I pulled it up here. Game of the Year, obviously, right?
Yes.
Best game direction.
Yes.
Best narrative.
Yep. Best RPG.
Best art direction.
Mm-hmm.
Best score and music.
Yep.
You could maybe give audio design to something else if you wanted, even though it could probably win that. Best performance, I think, is probably going to Mael.
Yep.
With what she did.
Jennifer English, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the second game.
My shadow heart love.
Yeah, this is the second game where her hair just turns white at the end.
Games for impact. Best independent game, best debut indie game. And like you said, best RPG. I don't see how it doesn't pretty much win all of those.
It's gonna win best esports team. I'm calling it. No, I'm just kidding. It's gonna be. I think people are going to fight for the Kojima game, the Death Stranding 2.
Death Stranding 2.
I mean, I've never played it.
I've heard great things about that too. I didn't really have interest in the first one. The second one looks a lot more fun to me, so I do have more interest.
But I feel like I have to play the first.
Oh yeah, I think you would definitely need to, which is why I probably still won't anytime soon.
Yeah, same.
But
I'll hold off.
I know there's other games to come out. There's other amazing games out there, but
This is the one, y'all. I think this.
Yeah, this is once in a generation type of game. This is even to a higher extent in some ways. It's like Final Fantasy VII for the PlayStation, or just these games that come out at a certain time that really just put everyone on notice. We've mostly focused on the story here because I know you talked about the gameplay mechanics and all that.
Yeah.
In the other stream, but in the other podcast. But this should change the way a lot of turn-based games are made as well.
Agreed.
The way that this is turn-based, but it feels so much fun. You can have a level of difficulty that's like a Souls game if you want, pretty much, with the parrying and all that, the QTEs. This is what games need to do going forward in their own way with turn-based, because it proved that turn-based can still be incredible.
Yeah.
For people that don't enjoy it as much.
That we've had some good turn-based, but not to this degree. I think this is like the perfect... Obviously, it could use some tweaking. It was the first run. I don't think it's like the perfect system, but it was executed well enough to where I can look past the flaws it does have.
I never wanted to not do a fight.
Yeah,
like
same.
Every time I got into combat, I was excited for it. And that's even dealing with some of the minions, the random enemies that you would face previously. Also, the other thing about turn-based, no random encounters for the most part.
Thank God that's
if you wanted to skip that's another thing. And I think turn-based JRPGs are getting better about that, and RPGs in general. But that's another thing. Yeah, you need to let people decide how they want to play. We don't need random encounters slowing up the story when people just want to be able to move through. But just so much to take note of. And by a small studio.
It is truly a masterpiece. I'm going to cut us off around here because we're overtime because of the screw up, and two, we're overtime because
we could keep going. I was trying to hold back as best I could. Oh yeah.
Dude, I'm glad I chose you for this. I knew you'd be the right call because somebody didn't finish the game. Emily Jean, I know you're not watching this now, and I know you're going to watch this in the future once you actually play the game and finish the game. Remember, you suck. Play the game, damn it. Thank you.
You've been replaced, Emily.
Oh, this is now Finn is now part of this podcast. Emily done. She'll kill me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, no one will tell. You guys look so similar in every.
Oh, I can never keep up as well as she does. But anytime y'all want me back, I would be more than happy.
I want to do more of these. I'd love to have you back. I appreciate you doing this for us. Listen, you guys can find Finn on Spotify and on YouTube and on Twitch, illfinity on all those platforms. Is that it on YouTube as well? Is it still illfinity?
YouTube is Finn TV, so it's like Finity TV because I couldn't get the name. But if you look up Finn TV or type Infinity TV, then that'll get you there.
There it is. You can find me on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/thebeardedblake show. If you're watching on Twitch right now, subscribe to the YouTube and catch up on our other episodes. If you're watching this on YouTube, come to the Twitch, follow here, and you can watch it live. Whatever you do, thanks for the support. You can also find us on Spotify, though I understand if you don't want to. It's Spotify.
But there's plenty of places to listen and get caught up.
It's true. There's so many things you can do. Now, remember, before we go, kids, if a random stranger comes up to you with a truck that says free mechanical tools for your backyard, if it's a lawnmower, you probably should take it. Those are expensive. Okay, bye, everyone. Okay, goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.